Hello, we are doing a monthly reading for the sign of Aquarius. The sign of Aquarius. So we're asking what wants to come through for Aquarius. What is the message that wants to be known for Aquarius? What is important for Aquarius? Oopsie. What is important for Aquarius to know right now? What is important for Aquarius to know right now? Okay, so we have the Queen of Wands, Two of Swords, Queen of Wands, a couple more. What is important for Aquarius? All right, we have the Chariot and we have the Page of Swords. All right, let's get into it. Let's see. Just down okay, well, twos are usually about decisions, or a crossroad. It's also about balance. But right here with this particular Two of Swords, it's interesting because I feel like some boundaries are being staked here. When I see these swords piercing into the earth, it is giving me this image of posting these stakes into the earth in order to mark boundaries. So it's kind of funny because that's a very different meaning than what the Two of Swords typically would indicate. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so we'll come back to this and we'll see what's going on here. Okay. Well, I just want to add, the swords, they indicate truth. They indicate communication. They indicate ideas, beliefs. So there's some boundaries here around some communication, around some truth, around some, ideas, but also around like some balance and some decision making. So let's see how that really plays out for you, Aquarius. Then we have the Queen of Wands. It's very interesting because it also, as soon as I picked up this card, I just saw the Queen of Wands face as very juvenile and childlike. Which is interesting because she's very typically somebody, the queens are not. They're not childlike. They are very mature, really, because they've been through a lot of things. They've had a lot of experiences. They've gained a lot of knowledge through their experiences, and they've become mastered in some way, right? They've become mastered in their realm. And this is the realm of wands, and wands represent passion, fire, growth, action. So the Queen of Wands is typically somebody who is mastered in that realm. She's driven, she's confident, she's self-assured, she knows how to get what she wants, she knows how to take action. But for some reason, I felt her as more of a juvenile. So, it could kind of mean that, it's the reverse energy of Queen of Wands. And I don't typically read reversals because, the energy is present regardless whether the card is, upright or in a reverse position. And it's a spectrum. There's a spectrum of the energy. There's the light and there's the shadow of it. Okay, so we'll come back to that and see how that kind of plays out here. Okay. And then we have the Chariot. Yeah, the Chariot is a card of moving forward. It's actually a kind of a quick movement forward. But it is also a balanced movement, and it is also a divine movement. So it's like, you're being divinely guided. Like these stars, are guides, like north stars that are showing you the way. And so this movement is being supported, It is something, it is towards something that is divinely manifested. Yeah, so we'll come back to that as well. And then we have the Page of Swords. Very interesting. I don't know why I'm feeling so much. I feel like all of these cards are so interesting. Okay. So, you know, Page of Swords is about, pages are, they're new, fresh, young energy. They can represent like juvenile energy, children, things like that, right? And the Page of Swords is about like learning something new. You know, it could be about being curious, taking a first step towards something, some ideas or beliefs that interest you. This cat's face is really standing out as a skull. The coloring on his nose kind of makes him look a little bit like a skull. Which makes me think of bones, and then bones makes me it brings me to this heart of the matter. So we'll see how that all kind of comes together. All right, so give me a second as I kind of see what's going on here for you, Aquarius. Yeah, so this is, I do feel like there is some kind of decision involved here. And this decision really does have to do with, you know, kind of like standing your ground, putting some boundaries in place. And I do feel like it is with this Queen of Wands. So I feel like this Queen of Wands showing up here is not necessarily you, but somebody that you are dealing with. And this person is a little juvenile. I feel like, so, you know, clearly, right, there's a kitten here, and then the Queen of Wands is supposed to be, you know, somebody of a mature nature, but she's not coming out that way. So I feel like there's this person in your realm, in your energy, that is actually quite immature. I think the problem is that they're very attractive still. So there's, and attractive is not necessarily looks, but they have this like little bit of fire in them, you know, that is kind of like magnetic. And or it could be that they're very attractive, but they're also coming through as like immature. And so that is feeling like a problem with you, because it feels like there's a decision around this person, and they may be immature in the sense of like they don't know how to respect boundaries. And it's almost like they don't even know what boundaries are, you know, like they don't even understand the concept of boundaries. And so they kind of seem to be crossing them all the time. And this is not fun for you. Like, I feel like it's leaving you scarred, you know, like it feels like there's some damage happening in this dynamic, because this person is really not respecting your boundaries. And I feel like there's been communication around it, but because this person does not understand what's happening, it's not getting through. Like the communication is not getting through. And I do feel like the Chariot here is kind of asking you to move on, because it's like, I feel almost if you don't kind of make space between you and this particular person who's not respecting your boundaries, that you will, you know, be scarred. There will be further damage. And so I feel like you are being asked to like definitely create distance. You know, the Chariot is moving away from, you know, this person. And I feel like you know that you have to create distance with this person, because it's just you know that you need to move in a different direction, and this person is not it. Okay, alrighty. So let's see. The Page of Swords. Yeah, I just feel like that's the heart of the matter, you know? The heart of the matter is that this person is really not respecting your boundaries, not respecting who you are, unable to receive the communication that you are trying to, you know, be good at. And it's just something I feel that has met its endpoint. And sometimes, unfortunate, we have people come into our lives, and they definitely come for a reason, and sometimes like we wanna hold on because we see these really great qualities in this person, but then ultimately we know like it's not a good match for us, and it's not something that, it's not a dynamic that lifts you up and you know, makes you better. It's really a dynamic or a relationship that is there to teach you something about yourself, and when you learn that thing, then it's really time to move on. So the question here, Aquarius, is like, what has this relationship taught you? This relationship with this person, with this Queen of Wands person, who is you know, kind of immature, and doesn't respect your boundaries. What has this relationship taught you, Page of Swords, about yourself? What have you learned from this dynamic, from this relationship, and how can you apply it as you move forward? Yeah. Alrighty. You know, I think what it's trying to teach you is that, you know, how important it is for people to respect other people's boundaries, especially when you're clearly communicating them. And I think it's also teaching you that sometimes when we stay too long in a relationship, whether it's a friendship, you know, a partnership, you know, sometimes it could even be a relationship with a parent, right? Which you think that you are supposed to maintain. You think that it's a bond that is supposed to, that you can't say goodbye to. But if this relationship with a parent is toxic and it is leaving scars, and it is one where boundaries are not respected and you don't feel respected, then it is important to step away from that relationship, even if it is something significant like a parent, right? So I feel like that is the thing that you are learning here. And then I just want to remind you also, like that with the Chariot, right? As you move forward with this new information, you know, you are divinely guided. And so you're going to be okay. It's not going to be the easiest thing to like cut off relationships, but you know, you're going to be supported in this, and you're going to, the Chariot is really about moving forward in this direction where, you know, it's divine. So it's guided, it's supported, and you're going to really see how this difficult thing of leaving this person who has all these wonderful qualities, right, is actually the thing that you're supposed to do. Okay. Typically, just remember, you know, this is a general reading, right? So this Queen of Wands here, I do feel like is a person, but you know, it's an archetypal energy. So if that energy exists for you, that is not necessarily in a person, but in some other relationship that you have, maybe, you know, maybe it's to, I don't know, to your work or to your job or to your like hobby or whatever it is, right? So just kind of like think in those broader terms. But it's definitely something that you're ready to let go of. It's the time, you're being supported in it, and you're not leaving, you know, broken. You're leaving with some knowledge and some learning to take with you. Okay, Aquarius? Alrighty.